Introduction. Before we begin, I want you to answer one simple question. Imagine you wake up tomorrow morning and your employer calls to say, "We're sorry, but today will be your last day with the company." What happens next? How many months could you continue paying your mortgage or rent? How long before you begin worrying about utility bills, insurance, groceries, or your car payment? And perhaps the most important question of all, if your paycheck stopped tomorrow, would you still have any other source of income quietly working for you? I'm not asking this question to frighten you. I'm asking because, after more than 20 years of working with American families, business owners, and individuals building long-term financial plans, I've asked this question thousands of times. And what's fascinating is that the answer is almost always the same. People work incredibly hard. They earn a decent income, they save money, they pay their bills on time, yet almost their entire financial life depends on a single source of income, their paycheck. That means they don't truly have financial freedom. They're simply renting financial stability by trading their time and effort every single day. It's an uncomfortable truth that many people would rather avoid. We often believe the greatest financial risk is making a bad investment. But in reality, the biggest risk is relying on only one source of income. Because a job, no matter how good it is not an asset. A recession, company layoffs, an industry downturn, a health crisis, or simply the rapid advancement of artificial intelligence, making your position obsolete. Any of these can happen much faster than we expect. History has shown us this time and time again. The 2008 financial crisis left millions of Americans unemployed in a remarkably short period. Years later, the COVID-19 pandemic proved that even industries once considered stable could grind to a halt within weeks. And now automation and artificial intelligence are transforming the labor market at a pace we've never seen before. Not because you're bad at your job, but because the world never stops changing. One quote has always stayed with me. If your only source of income depends on waking up every morning to go to work, then you don't truly control your financial future. It may sound blunt, but it's true. I once worked with an engineer earning well into six figures a year. Everyone assumed he was financially secure, but when his company restructured, it took only a few months for his family's entire financial plan to begin unraveling. On the other hand, I also worked with a school teacher who earned a very ordinary income. She wasn't wealthy, but for more than a decade, she consistently invested every month, built a small YouTube channel where she shared teaching tips, invested in a few ETF funds, and gradually accumulated dividend-paying stocks. When her school reduced teaching hours, her salary dropped, but her lifestyle barely changed because money continued flowing into her bank account from multiple sources. That's the difference between working for money and building assets that work for you. One of the biggest misconceptions about passive income is that people immediately associate it with get-rich-quick schemes, multi-level marketing programs, expensive courses promising thousands of dollars within days, or high-risk investments. That's not what I'm talking about. In economics, passive income simply means money that continues to be generated without requiring you to constantly trade every hour of your time for it. It can come from dividend stocks, bonds, index funds or ETFs, real estate, or digital assets like a YouTube channel, a blog, or an online course. What all of these income streams have in common is this: none of them appear overnight. You have to plant the seeds before you can enjoy the harvest. That's how nature works. No one plants a tree today and expects shade tomorrow. No one makes an investment today and expects to become wealthy next week. Everything worthwhile takes time. And precisely because it takes time, the rewards are often worth waiting for. If there's one lesson I've learned after years of observing people who genuinely achieve financial freedom, it's this: they don't focus on making a fortune as quickly as possible. They focus on building systems that continue generating income for years to come. That's the real difference. In today's video, I'm going to share 10 practical strategies that many people use to gradually build income streams beyond their paycheck. Some can be started with very little money. Others require almost no capital at all, only the time, knowledge, or skills you already have. None of these strategies will make you rich overnight, but if you apply them consistently, They can help move you closer to a life where, year after year, you depend less on your paycheck and more on assets quietly working in the background for you. Because sometimes financial freedom doesn't begin with earning more money. It begins the moment you stop selling only your time and start building assets that create lasting value long after the day's work is done. Main body. There's one principle I remind my clients of over and over again. And if you remember only one thing from this entire video, let it be this. Don't work harder just to earn more money. Build assets that can earn money for you. Those two ideas may sound similar, but they lead to two completely different lives. If your income only increases when you work more hours, you're selling your time. And time is the one thing in this world that no one can buy more of. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. But when you own an income-producing asset, you're buying back your own time. That's why wealthy people rarely ask, how can I make more money? Instead, they ask, how can I make my money produce even more money? That's the difference between being a worker and becoming an asset builder. One of the simplest ways to get started is by investing consistently in low-cost ETF index funds. It may sound boring, and honestly it is. But in investing, boring is often what makes people the most money. Many people spend hours every day trying to predict whether the stock market will go up or down tomorrow. They constantly buy and sell, chase the latest headlines, and follow predictions on social media. In the end, they become more exhausted than wealthy. Meanwhile, another group of investors quietly contributes a fixed amount every month into broad market ETF index funds. They don't try to predict the future. They simply believe in the long-term growth of the economy. Year after year, their investments grow through the remarkable power of compound interest. Albert Einstein is often credited with calling compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. Whether or not he actually said those exact words is still debated, but the lesson behind them remains absolutely true. Compound interest doesn't look magical after 1 year. It becomes extraordinary after 10 or 20. What matters isn't how much you invest today. What matters is whether you can keep investing consistently for years. The next strategy is investing in dividend-paying stocks. Imagine owning a small neighborhood business. Every quarter, that business earns a profit and sends you a share of those earnings. That's exactly how dividends work. When you buy shares of a high-quality company, you're not simply hoping the stock price rises. You're becoming a partial owner of that business. If the company performs well, part of its profits may be distributed to shareholders as dividends. This is something many new investors overlook. They're focused almost entirely on whether the stock price goes up or down each day. Long-term investors pay attention to something much more important. Is the business becoming more profitable year after year? Stock prices may fluctuate, but a strong business continues generating cash flow. And eventually, part of that cash flow finds its way back into the pockets of its shareholders. Another excellent option is investing through REITs, real estate investment trusts. Most people can't afford to buy an office tower, a shopping center, or a large logistics warehouse. But that doesn't mean they can't benefit from owning real estate. REITs allow thousands of investors to collectively own large income-producing properties and receive a share of the rental income they generate. Instead of worrying about repairing roofs, finding tenants, or dealing with unexpected maintenance costs, you simply invest in the trust and receive distributions if the properties perform well. It's a perfect example of assets working for people instead of people constantly working for money. That said, never invest simply because a yield looks attractive. A high dividend yield should always be evaluated alongside the quality of the underlying properties, the management team, and the financial strength of the investment. In investing, success isn't about making the highest return in 1 year. It's about protecting what you've spent 10 years building. Another financial tool that many people overlook is an emergency fund. It doesn't sound exciting. No one gets excited about keeping money in a high-yield savings account or short-term government securities. But after living through multiple financial crises, I've learned one important lesson. Most people don't go broke because they invested poorly. They go broke because they're forced to sell good investments at the worst possible time. Having enough cash to cover 3 to 6 months of living expenses is like carrying a life jacket. You hope you'll never need it. But when the waves get rough, you'll be grateful you prepared in advance. The next idea is something financially successful people understand extremely well. Taxes aren't simply expenses to be paid. There's something that should be managed wisely. Tax-advantaged retirement accounts can help you reduce taxes today while giving your investments more room to grow over many years. People with strong financial knowledge don't focus only on earning more money. They also focus on keeping more of what they earn. And that's another powerful way to build wealth. But if you ask me what investment delivers the highest return over an entire lifetime, my answer might surprise you. It's investing in yourself, learning a new skill, mastering another language, earning a professional certification, improving your communication skills, becoming better at sales and persuasion, or learning how to use artificial intelligence to become dramatically more productive at work. No stock market can consistently outperform the returns you earn by becoming more valuable in the job market. Because as your value increases, your active income grows. And that higher income becomes the fuel you use to acquire more income-producing assets. Finally, I'd like to talk about what I personally believe will become one of the most valuable assets of the digital age: building digital assets. A YouTube channel, a blog, an email newsletter, an online course, an ebook, or even digital templates, artwork, software tools, or creative resources that you create once but can sell thousands of times. In the beginning, almost no one will notice. Maybe you'll get a few dozen views, maybe only a handful of subscribers. You'll wonder whether all the effort is really worth it. But remember this: every valuable asset needs time to mature. A mighty oak tree once began as a tiny acorn. Amazon started in a garage. YouTube itself was once nothing more than an idea. What separates successful people from everyone else isn't that they face fewer obstacles. It's that they stay committed longer. If you have knowledge, experience, or skills that can genuinely help other people, don't keep them to yourself. In today's digital economy, knowledge is no longer just power. When it's shared effectively, it can become an asset that generates income for years to come. And that is the real purpose behind every strategy we've discussed today. Not so you can quit your job tomorrow, not so you can become rich overnight, but so that, with each passing year, you depend a little less on your paycheck and a little more on the assets you patiently built. Conclusion. There's one thing I've come to realize after spending many years working with people who have achieved financial success. The biggest difference between them and most people isn't that they're smarter, and it isn't that they're luckier. The real difference is that they understand one very simple principle. Money only creates true freedom when it continues to make more money, even when you're not there. If every dollar you earn requires another hour of your time, then no matter how high your income becomes, you're still selling your time. And time is the most valuable asset you'll never be able to get back. One day we'll all grow older. Our health won't be what it once was. Our energy will naturally decline. The job market will continue to evolve. Skills that are highly valuable today may become obsolete 10 years from now. But if you begin building income-producing assets today, each passing year brings you closer to a life filled with more choices. You'll have the freedom to walk away from a job you no longer enjoy. You'll be able to spend more time with your family. You'll be able to rest when your body needs it. And you'll make decisions based on what truly matters to you, not simply because financial pressure leaves you with no other option. That's what financial freedom really means. It isn't about driving a luxury car. It isn't about living in a massive mansion. And it certainly isn't about posting glamorous photos on social media. Financial freedom is when money no longer controls your life. Instead, you decide how your money works to support the life you want to live. If you look back at everything we've discussed today, you'll notice something important. None of these strategies are secret. There is no magical formula for getting rich. There is no investment guaranteed to make you a millionaire in just a few months. These are timeless principles that have stood the test of time. Invest consistently, be patient, diversify your income streams, never stop learning, build assets, then allow time and the power of compounding to quietly do the rest. That's how countless ordinary people have gradually built extraordinary wealth, and it's a path that you can begin today. Don't wait until you have a lot of money before you start investing. Don't wait until retirement to think about your future, and don't wait until you lose your job to realize you've depended on a single source of income all along. There's an old proverb that says, "The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today." Maybe you'll begin with a small investment. Maybe you'll dedicate just 1 hour each day to building a YouTube channel, writing a blog, creating a newsletter, or learning a valuable new skill. Those first steps may seem small, but remember this: no river is formed by a single rainfall. Every ocean begins with individual drops of water, and every great fortune is built from small decisions repeated consistently over many years. So after watching this video, I'd like to ask you to do one very simple thing. Don't try to implement all 10 ideas at once. Choose just one strategy that fits your current situation. Start this week, then stay consistent. 1 year from now, you'll be grateful that you started today. 10 years from now, your life may look completely different. If this video gave you a fresh perspective on money, investing, and financial freedom, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button. It helps more people discover this information and supports the channel. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. In future videos, we'll continue exploring the timeless financial principles that have helped millions of people build lasting wealth, not by chasing get-rich-quick promises, but by making smart decisions consistently over time. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I wish you wisdom in every financial decision, patience throughout your investing journey, and the determination to build a life where money becomes a tool that serves you instead of something that controls you. I'll see you in the next video.